Your old pal, Monster Cutie, back again. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you enjoyed your vacation and got lots of time to play in the fun snow. I know we are kind of still thawing out a little bit here in Maryland, but whatever. Hope you had a good New Year. So I think I'm just gonna keep cranking and try to get a lot more done with this piece today. I took a look at the deadline for the Spectrum entry, and it's the 22nd of January, and today is the 5th. So I need to get my butt in gear. And one of the things I'm going to start off with is this background is starting to look a little bit dull in comparison with the foreground. So I'm going to cheat a little. And first, I'm going to, let's see what we got here. Here's our twigs. Here's our misty background. I'm just going to collapse all that. So that's Control E or Apple E. And let's go to, let's add an adjustment layer and let's do levels. Okay, levels. And let's see if I can zoom out a little bit. I want a little bit more contrast here in the background to match with what's going on in the foreground with the cuties. So you can mess with these sliders here. This changes the black levels down here. You can also select the channel that you do your levels to, but I'm just gonna go for the regular old settings right here. Okay, that seems to be a little bit more harmonious with what we've got on. If you turn off the preview, this is what was going on before. This is what's going on now with some level correction. It feels like a more cohesive piece this way. And it's a subtle change, but it's noticeable, and I'm going to collapse that to previous layer. So select both and hit Control E or Apple E, and I have to rename this background. Remember to always keep your layers labeled, and we will go back to our painting here. These are our spots, if I remember from last time. Alright, so let's create another layer. We'll call this overpaint, and we'll call this overpaint layer. This is the base layer, so we'll call this the base. Alright, and we'll select the overpaint, and we'll start finishing up some of these details. Grab our famous brush here, this spatter brush here. So yeah, I'm kind of nervous about the deadline. I know the 22nd doesn't seem all that close, but oh wait, one more thing before we start. Remember to select the transparency of the layer below, and this prevents you from painting outside the lines, and then hide the marching ants, these guys, with Control H or Apple H. Alright, so what was I talking about? Yeah, so I'm kind of nervous about the deadline. Deadlines have a way of creeping up on you, and I really want to try to knock this out by the end of this week. And there's a lot of stuff that's still going on here, but I'm going to work on just bringing out some forms and generally tightening things up, making it look less sketchy, a little bit more, put some more realism into what I'm going for here. But I've never entered work into Spectrum. I've never felt that any of my pieces were strong enough to be considered for it, and I'm not even certain that this will be strong enough, because I've flipped through it, and there's a lot of amazing talent there, and some well-known names in the illustration industry, and I don't know, I get nervous, but you never know until you try, and so I'll just give it the good old college try and see what shakes out. My stuff isn't that bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. So I've heard from some people that they really enjoy seeing the process of these paintings, and that's really gratifying to hear that people are getting something out of this. Because, I'm never sure when I put stuff out there for the wind, who's digging it, who's looking at it, who gives a crap. So thank you everyone who's written me a personal note, and thank you for everybody who's sent a comment on the blog. You guys are great. It's great to hear from people and to know that they enjoy watching these cuties take shape before their very eyes. So thank you for that. And I've also received a few people interpretations of the green cutie that I showed you how to create in the Digital Painting 101, which is really cool. It's neat to see the different interpretations of my design. One person actually asked to use it for their company logo, and they were really insistent. So I kind of gave in and I said, okay, fine. And they were gonna turn it into an animation and animate it in Flash. And I actually haven't heard from them in a while. Maybe I should check up on the site and see how they're doing. But it's cool to hear the feedback from that particular tutorial, and to see some other people's interpretations, because it's just, I don't know, it's cute to see the different styles of the cuties, and you can see a lot of the personality of the artist coming through in their work. I think it's a little bit inevitable that whatever you're working on, and whatever medium you're working in, your personality comes through in your work, whether it's like the way you shape faces, or the way you do proportions. I think part of everybody comes out in their work, and it's really interesting to see. So there are some artists that have these instantly recognizable styles, and you can tell right away who did it. And I've always wanted to develop something like that, a style like that, but I don't know. I've wanted to do it, but I haven't really made a conscious effort. Like, oh, this is the way I will draw my noses. This is the way I'm gonna draw the cheekbones of my characters. I'm always gonna do this kind of thing. Though I haven't really made those conscious decisions, and I don't know if other artists do that when they're known for a style. Like, does Alex Ross sit down and say, I'm going to paint all my heroes to be this certain way. This is the Alex Ross style. Or does Jim Lee go and say, this is the way I draw my figures. This is my Jim Lee style. Or is it more organic? Is it something that just happens? Does an artist just go about doing their own thing without worrying about style, and their style evolves naturally? And I don't know how it happens, because I've never seen myself as somebody who's developed a singular style. Like, I don't know, I wish I could, because it would make things easier. It would make this painting a lot more easier if I had a set way of doing things, like a set standard workflow, that worked on my style, that worked off of what I've established as my style. Like, Jo Chen, one of my favorite digital painters, she definitely has a style. All of her work, even if she's drawing, whatever characters, if she's doing a realistic cover for, like, a realistic caricature of Sarah Michelle Gellar for the Dark Horse Buffy comics, you could tell it's a Jo Chen piece. There's just this quality to it, and I don't know if it's a conscious thing for her, or if if it's just if she just sits down and says I'm gonna paint and whatever comes out. Like I'd really like to sit down with a few of these artists that I consider who to have a signature style and get a sense from them. Is this something that has developed over the years, or like consciously, or is it just a natural evolution of things? Um, so I'd really like to get in touch with some of these artists and ask them. Um, Maybe I should get some people on the horn. My other friend, I have a friend, Yuko, who some of you might know from Johnny Wander, the webcomic Johnny Wander, and she definitely has a recognizable style. I've seen her. Anytime she draws anything, it's instantly Yuko. Even if I don't know that she's drawn it, if I see a piece, I can instantly recognize if she's done it. And I wanna know if these are intentional style choices, or if it's just I draw, this is what comes out, you know? If it's like breathing. Um, Whoops. I need to lock down this position. There we go. So for me, I don't really think I have much of a style. I mean, I guess the cuties are stylistic and recognizable, but I mean, cutie is really simple to draw. Anyone can draw a cutie. It's not like reinventing a wheel here. So, but I don't know. I mean, I guess there are certain ways I approach things. Um, but most often it's not. I guess everybody inevitably has a style. I've heard people say that they can recognize my work, um, even if they don't know it's me, which is very flattering. I can't see it, but so for me, the way I draw is not, or when I sit down to draw, choices are not conscious. It's just I sit down and I draw the way I freaking draw, and I'm always trying to see if I can push things a little bit further, like if I can improve on my anatomy. And I'm concerned about things like, I'm worried about things like anatomy and positioning and proportions and things of that sort. I'm not really worried about, oh well, does this look like a Jamie Noguchi hand, or does this look like a Jamie Noguchi fist? I'm more interested in, like, does this body part look like it could be part of this person? Does this body part look like it fits? That kind of thing. So I don't know. Maybe that's the way all artists are. Maybe that's the way everybody approaches it. I don't know. Whoop. So it looks like we're making some kind of progress here. Not a lot. I feel like we're making lots of subtle changes that aren't really making a big impact on the overall composition. But I don't know. I think one of my resolutions for the new year should be in 2010 to get more self-confidence with my work. Because nobody wants to hear an emo artist whining all day, oh, my stuff's not good enough, oh, my stuff's not good enough. I mean, you never hear Bob Ross saying, oh, this tree isn't happy enough, I need to make it happier. He just, oh, there's the happy tree, and oh, I made a little mistake. Well, we'll fix it like this. Actually, I don't think I've ever heard him say he's made a mistake on his show. I think he just goes and plows on ahead and does his Bob Ross jitsu thing, which is cool. Which is why he's the king of the 1 hour or half-hour walkthrough, or no, his shows were always an hour long, the hour-long walkthrough. Bob Ross was the man. He did it without saying or or even dead air. He just kept talking, and everything he said was a little gem of genius. Yeah, I'm totally jealous of Bob Ross because I can't freaking do it. You know, when you're watching the show, you think, oh, yeah, I could do that. I could sit up there and talk about happy trees all day. It's no big deal. In reality, when you're sitting in front of a computer trying to do the same thing, oh, geez, it's really tough. You sound like a manic idiot. So I have much love for you, Bob. Even though you're gone, you've left us. Still have much respect for your work as both an instructor and as an artist. His hand is all jacked. Well, let's make some of these knuckle shapes a little bit more believable here. These hands kind of look like feet. Like this part, like here, down here, it looks like a heel. Maybe these are not necessarily feet, but arms, or maybe they're not hands, maybe, or arms. Maybe they're legs that evolved backwards. Who knows? Well, as long as we're talking about creatures, my wife and I saw Avatar over the weekend, and we had a great time. The movie visually was excellent, very captivating. Our favorite part was all the creatures and the little interactions they had, and the way they moved, and their different anatomies, and the way they breathed, and the different aspects of the creatures. And that was really the most fascinating and captivating piece of the whole movie, was these amazing creatures. And we got to see it in 3D because the movie theater that we went to didn't have many 2D showings. They wanted to cash in on the new 3D ticket price. So we went to see it in 3D, and I gotta say, it really, they didn't do the trick where every once in a while something has to fly out and hit you in the screen to make it, to remind you that it's 3D. They were very subtle with it, not too in your face. Instead of pushing things forward towards the camera, the shots tended to push things back into the background in the 3D space. So it really looked like almost like you were looking through a picture window, or window into this other world. So I thought that was a very nice touch to it. The plot is serviceable, and if you've seen enough of the trailers, you know how the story goes, and it's terribly predictable, and the dialogue is at times very laughable, and you will find yourself rolling your eyes. But the creatures were absolutely fantastic, and the world itself, the lush environments, all that stuff. One of my friends said that Pandora is really the main character of this movie, and there's a good argument for that. It's probably one of the most fleshed out pieces in the film that you'll ever see, the most well-rounded character, I guess, and it's the freaking planet. But you got to see a lot of interesting animals, and it was cool. I wish, well, I hope on the DVD that there's like a, well, the Discovery Channel put out this documentary a while ago called Planet Earth, and it was actually had it featured a voiceover by Sigourney Weaver, and they showed they showed you a lot of things that you've never seen, that no one's ever seen before, because no one's ever filmed it before. But this all stuff on on Earth about like our environment and the different creatures, and some deep sea creatures, and um, mountain lions, all sorts of stuff, all sorts of goodies that have never before been seen. And so I think it would be an excellent DVD feature to do a sort of documentary in that vein with Sigourney Weaver doing the voiceover, because she plays a major character in the movie, and I think that would be really cool. Um, but yeah, just the way the animals moved and interacted with their environments, and um, I don't know, it was really great. Without the creatures, I don't think I would have enjoyed the film as much as I did, because like I said, it's the story is really just, it's serviceable. Um, you're not getting anything new that you haven't seen before. If you've seen, The Last Samurai, or Last of the Mohicans, or Enemy Mine, or any movie of that vein, you've seen Avatar. Story wise, visually, you haven't seen anything like this. So I don't know if that's a ringing endorsement or not, but I thought it was worth the price. We paid matinee 3D prices, so it was I think it was $12 instead of 15, and we snuck in burritos because it was a long ass movie, and you gotta eat, you gotta eat. So we had burritos, and we watched the movie, and it was all good. I'm not sure I'm liking where this hand situation is going, but we'll just keep plugging through and make it work. Like Tim Gunn says, make it work, people. It's kind of mussed up or something. Whatever. It's getting there. It's getting there. It's getting there. What else can I talk about? Other things that might interest you, my dear monster cuties. There are a bunch of rumors going around that Apple is about to release something called an iSlate, which will be a tablet of some kind. Now, no one's quite clear on whether it's going to be like a tablet computer, like a tablet PC, or if it's going to be a giant iPhone, or if it's going to be like a souped up e-reader, or if it's going to be like a like a Kindle type device, or nobody knows what the heck this iSlate thing is going to be. Um, but whenever I hear any rumblings about a tablet, I always think about what this means for digital artists. Now, when the tablet PCs first hit the market, I don't even remember, way back when, in like 2000, maybe 2001, 2002. I considered getting one, because the idea of basically having access to an infinite virtual ream of paper that I could draw on, these things could sort of run Photoshop. Um, Taking Photoshop on the go, on the way into work, that idea really appealed to me because, um, who wouldn't want to when you're stuck on the train? If you got nothing better to do, who wouldn't want to bust out the magic crayons and work on a piece, instead of uh, instead of wasting your time getting angry at your fellow commuters for smelling, you could be creating awesome stuff. And so I considered it, but at the time they just weren't fast enough. Like I would try them out in the store and I would start doodling, and even with their built-in sketching program, the tracking wasn't as smooth, wasn't as swift, wasn't as good as I was looking for. So I abandoned the idea of the tablet PC, and just resigned myself to the fact to the notion that this is a technology that will never catch up to the point where I would want to use it professionally. So I've kind of ignored the tablet PC market for a very good long time. Um, and I have to admit, I'm a bit of an Apple fan. So whenever Apple announces anything, I'm kind of like, ooh, a new shiny MacGuffin. I want to know what it's all about. So I am not sure that this tablet thing is going to be powerful enough for for Photoshop to run the Creative Suite, because I mean, even though digital artists spend quite a bit of money on new equipment and software, Apple doesn't seem to give a crap about us. Um, most of the latest offerings have been targeted to the very chic, um, hipster crowd, for lack of a better term, and they really haven't done much to entice digital artists. There was a time when Macs were synonymous with digital art. Like, there was a time when if you didn't know how to use a Mac, you couldn't really do any digital art. The PCs just hadn't embraced Windows had not embraced the digital artist, and then somehow it changed. Somehow Apple decided that they would go for a less niche market share and expand to, go for a new hipper demographic. And I kind of feel like us artists have been left out of the loop. Like, if you want to do 3D, the Mac is not the way to go. Like, new versions of ZBrush always come out for the for Windows platforms way before they figure out how to port them over to the Apple or to Mac OS. So I don't know. I mean, it makes sense. Like, even though we do spend a lot of money, we don't make up a large market share. So, there are a lot of artists. There aren't enough artists out there to justify um, targeting us as a legitimate market. So I'm sure while the tablet sounds cool and it would be awesome if it would support us, like have like the power to run Creative Suite, um, I'm very skeptical. I seriously doubt that it's gonna have the power to run Photoshop effectively to the point where you can actually use it. Now, if it can run Sketchbook, alias Sketchbook, I might seriously consider it, because Sketchbook is a great program. It doesn't replace Photoshop for me, but that's just because I don't use it as much as I use Photoshop. I know Photoshop. I kind of played with Photoshop for a long time, so I know the ins and outs of Photoshop, and I don't have to reteach myself shortcuts. I can just hop in. with Sketchbook, there's a little bit of a learning curve. There's some things I don't know about its capabilities. I don't know everything, and so I would want to get more familiar with it before I, fully transitioned into like a Sketchbook workflow. But if this iSlate or whatever the hell it's called can run Sketchbook, that might be a very healthy alternative for me to consider. Because I do have a rather less than inspiring commute, and I could benefit from using that time to work on stuff. Like I could be sketching illustrations or coloring things or coming up with ideas for Monster Cutie, creating tutorials, that kind of thing. There's a lot of wasted time on my commute. So, instead of sitting in the train and listening to my headphones or just reading comics, because that's usually all I have room to do. If this iSlate turns out to be worthwhile or powerful enough to run something like Sketchbook, I don't know. It might be worth looking into for us digital artists. I do think that this year is going to see the evolution of the e-reader. Sprint is coming out with something called I forgot what it's called, but it's a flexible screen reader, and it's bigger than Kindle and the Nook, and that looks really cool. Just from a interface design standpoint, and it would be cool if these e-readers start handling images better, because then we can read comics. So instead of having shelves and shelves full of comics, I could just buy them on the e-reader, which would be so cool. But for now, I don't think they have the image support required to really enjoy the fully operational comics. Fully armed and operational Battlestar. This is the year, though. This is definitely the year that we're going to be seeing some big innovations in e-readers. So yeah, iSlate could be good. Could be good for us. Could be meh for us. I don't want to get my hopes up, because people have been wanting an Apple tablet for years now. Ever since the PC market started to push their tablets, people were saying, "Oh, we want Apple to do it. We want an Apple tablet. We want an Apple tablet." One of the stories I read said that Apple would be unveiling it later this January. So we may not have to wait too long to see what all the hubbub will be about. What's the hubbub, bub? Interesting things going on up in here. We could do far better with these wrinkles. We need more of them. Every eyelid needs the bottom of it, so we'll just tap in this bottom here to make it look like an eyelid and not just a gap for some silly reason. There we go, there we go. There we go, that looks like a nice bottom of a lid. We need to do the same thing over here. Put in that little wrinkly corner there. Fill this in. Whoa, that's a little hot. That's not bad. Need a little bit brighter yellow. There we go. Alright, so we got lid action. Let's see what we can do about this mouth here. This mouth kind of looks like it needs some more detailing. There we go. You can see that dimple in there. Tone this up a little bit. Let's put in some pink. Let's do something similar on this side. Whoops, wrong way. Zoom out and see what we've got. Save. We got better things going on with the hands, better things going on with the eyes. Before we had that, now we have this. Look at that. Look at that. Look at all that. Look at all that detail. Let's keep painting in and painting in and painting in. Painting in more stuff. Tone this area back a little bit. some more tones to that in a bit, but right now let's move on to this nostril situation. The situation. I think we need a little bit more depth to this nostril or this nose area here. So we'll deepen this shadow down here. And we'll deepen this shadow over here. Deepen, deepen, deepen. Which means, of course, we gotta push down this stuff here. Push that down. So it looks more like a nostril. There we go, there we go. Ah, like that, yeah. When the student is ready, the nostril will appear. That makes no kind of damn sense. So you notice with a lot of these wrinkles, I'm just using this dark purple brownish color and a very tiny brush, and just tapping in where I think crease lines should be. Sometimes I'm going back in and I'm working it out to smooth it out and to blend it in with a neighboring color, and then sometimes I'm just leaving it as is, so it just remains as a crease line. I guess I could go back in and give them a little bit more depth, but you know, this is kind of an easy way to add wrinkles to your creature. So face shape is toning up a little bit. I think we need a little bit more definition in these areas down here. Actually, let's use a deeper red, yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna tap in some more thin lines where some of these creases are meeting each other. These pits here. These are pits where there would be a lot of shadows collecting. So they should have a little bit more. Oops. I locked your position. Why are you still moving? I like this shape here. I'm gonna accentuate it with this ghosting in of this highlight here, or this shadow. It's kind of cool. Yeah, it needs more definition on this side as well. Keep it coming, love. Don't stop it. No, don't stop it. Oh yeah, in here we need some more work. Alright, these guys need a little bit more, so we're gonna get in some of this brown and smooth it out. Smooth it out now. Now, if this is oil paints, what I could do is just stick my thumb into it and blend it that way. Oh, I feel like I'm not saying enough. So, I don't really. Alright, so we got some good stuff going on facially. Need some highlights up here. Some highlights in here. I guess you could probably tell by now after sitting through 7 of these, I guess 8 now, is that I don't know what I'm doing. But I don't let that stop me. And neither should you. You should never allow lack of knowledge to get in your way in art. You should take it as an opportunity to explore. Because I think oftentimes when you don't know a lot about a technique, you're more willing to try to experiment and to screw up than you are if you've been well versed in a particular method. So there is some benefit to haphazardly just taking on another medium and just going at it full full force blazing, full engine speed ahead. You don't know what you're not supposed to do, and in that way you can come up with some imagery that people who are well versed in the particular medium that you're messing with, they might not come up with it because they would never approach a piece in that manner. So never let your lack of experience or lack of knowledge get in the way of artistic expression. Just freaking try it. Like, you might not know how to properly set a screen for screen printing, but maybe, one of your little screw ups creates a really awesome texture that you wouldn't have been able to get otherwise. These are things that you should be looking for in your work. If you find yourself stagnating and if you find yourself getting too comfortable with a chosen medium, break out. Try something else. Try oil painting. Try metal sculpture. By screwing around in another medium and making mistakes and just coming up with weird stuff, when you do return to a familiar territory, you can apply what you've learned with your mess ups to, familiar ground, and do more controlled experimentation, more controlled screw ups, so to speak. I talk a lot about happy accidents, but it's true. I mean, a lot of your a lot of the most amazing stuff that you can come up with will occur when you're not thinking about it, or when you're doing something completely quote unquote wrong, you know? It's all about experimenting and having fun and being open to new ways of approaching a problem, whether it is a design problem or if it's a illustration problem or what have you. There's genius in them accidents, and you want to be there when it happens. You also don't want to overthink your stuff too much. I tend to overthink stuff. I've got a lot of theory in my head, and, color theory and um, composition, and sometimes that can get in the way. I mean, of course it's beneficial. I mean, it's beneficial to know how the eye views a composition, and how you can lead an eye to see certain things, and that sort of knowledge. But at the same time, you can end up paralyzing yourself. For instance, I will give you a for instance. I am working on a webcomic project, and being on the web, you need to create a website. Well, sounds like an easy enough task, but because I have a eye for design, and I'm somewhat knowledgeable, not horribly knowledgeable, but I know a little bit about web design, and I want to learn more. Like, I want to learn more PHP, and I want to learn more CSS, cascading style sheets. And so I spent a lot of time studying various theories on web design, and should you use a grid system, and what's the optimum width you can do, and how do you pick your colors, and all this stuff, and all these things were fighting for mind share when I was developing this website. And the stupid thing is, the website isn't the important thing, the comic is the important thing. And somewhere along the line in the design process, I lost sight of that notion, because I had so much crap in my head, like, oh, gotta lay out a grid, gotta make sure all my margins are correct, gotta make sure this is going right, all this theory stuff, and it paralyzed me almost. Like, I couldn't get anything done. I wasn't getting anything done. I'm gonna erase what I just did there anyway. So I mean, I spent a good month dicking around with this site, just pushing and pulling and kicking and screaming and yelling. And at one point, my wife turns to me and said, you're building a site for the comic, not the other way around. Your comic isn't about web design. It's not about user interface, any of that stuff. It's about the comic. And it was a great kick in the ass. I scrapped what I was doing. I started from scratch. I banged out the website in the space of 2 nights. And it looks great. And it works fine for the comic. And it's usable. And that's the point. It's not about all these theories. It's about doing what's right for the project that you're working on. So there are many ways in which too much knowledge can really screw you up. So don't be afraid to try new things just because you want to. If you've been doing a lot of ink work with a Micron or a similar type technical pen, pick up a brush. If you're doing a lot of work with a brush, pick up a crayon. If you're doing a lot of stuff with crayons, pick up a slab of mud and try that. Just get out there, screw around, Get out of your comfort zone, because when you break out of your comfort zone, you start to think differently. And then when you go back to, and then when you return to your comfort zone, you can apply some of those new ideas to familiar territory, and that's a beautiful thing. That's where some of your most creative stuff can come from. Don't forget to save. Save, 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 save. I haven't done anything with the eyes. I need to do stuff with the eyes. What do octopus eyes look like? Let's fire up our reference. So I was looking up tabs for some stuff earlier. Alright, so let's close this window. Let's close this window. Alright, images. Octopus eyes. Whoa. Okay, so they got this weird thingy going on here. That's kind of cool. Huh. That's kind of cool. Yeah. So they got that sort of action going on. How's that? How's that, huh? I wonder why they're shaped that way. Let's take another look. They appear to kind of be lighter hues of the, it's all sorts of stuff going on there, different bulges and stuff. Alright, let's see what we can do with this guy here. Let's take some of this, put some of that down on the base of it. And let's grab some of this lighter blue. Well, yeah. More of that blue. That's kind of a cool effect. We're just gonna paint these dots in manually. We're not gonna create a new brush or anything like that. Just some hint of texture. I want to be clever, give these things a little bit of shadow. Little bit of shadow. You know who's gonna notice? Me. And no one else. And we'll do the same thing for this bottom area. We'll no, we'll use this orange, bring it up a little bit. Kind of like a glowy thing going on here. Let's see what else. It seems like it's black, except for when the light hits up in here. So that's kind of cool. And it's got a rim around it. We'll make this rim, well, first let's get a deeper black for the eye, for the pupil. What should we use to put the ring around the eye? Let's grab this green just because it's in the composition. Tapping it in ever so slightly. My hand is not as steady as it should be. Oh. Whatever, it's an irregular shape. So tap that in there. And then, oh no, let's use some of this white or blue. And tap in a little bit of an highlight in there. Tap in a little bit of an highlight there. Very nice. Zoom out. Okay, so this still looks a little too orange, a little too blocky. That's okay. Let's start. I'm gonna call this layer blood. Start doing in the blood, and we're gonna start with a dark brown, because blood tends to stain socks brown. Not that I have any familiarity with staining socks. And for this, we're gonna cheat a little bit. We're gonna turn this mode into color burn. No, that's not what we want. We want multiply. Actually, that's a little too dark, I think. We want a lighter red for multiply. Whoa. Alright, so undo that. That's a little too maroon. Yeah. I think I'm gonna go a little bit longer with this episode because I want to get more done. So, if you've made it this far, we're gonna keep going until I get a little bit more done. Sorry that this one's gonna run a little bit late, but from what I understand, and if the feedback is accurate, you people enjoy seeing me screw up and do these for longer sessions. So I'm just gonna keep going with that theory that you're not lying to me and keep up with this. So I think the blood would be pooling in this crease here and then just kind of this part here, and I might need to make a spatter brush, but for right now I think we're getting some gross things going on here. Let's see what it looks like. Color burn. That looks really gross. Multiply. Alright, so let's lock this layer and play around with the colors a little bit. A little lighter. I think this cavity is a little too deep. Let me see if I can erase it. Of course I can erase it. Alright, lock it again, lock it again, lock it again. Oops. I think I want to do, let's see, blood highlights. Blood highlights. So we, let's pretend it's still wet. So we're gonna have some bright highlights, little specks. Sort of imply that it's still wet. Let's actually get a white in there. Nope, don't like the highlights. We'll mess with that later. Blood looks okay. This cutie needs some more wrinkles. Define that one a little bit better. Define that one a little bit better. Yay, look at that cute smirk. I'm so cute. I ate a big person. Oops. Do, 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 do. Alright. Cutie, cutie, cutie. This guy needs eyeballs. Alright, so, normally when I draw the cuties, they have white pupils. And their eyes are just basically circles. So I haven't really decided what kind of eyes I want to give the cuties. I could cop out and just put a highlight in it and call it a day. But that's not fun. Well, I think I'll do it for the hat. The hat'll have shark's eyes, black pearls. Actually, it might be just cute if they were just black with highlights. I don't know. Let's see what it looks like. Kind of like Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. I love that movie. Lilo. Boom, ding, 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 ding. Don't be cruel. Dear, that's true. Alright, well, I can dig it. Whoops. Need to turn on my base layer again. Oops. Oops. Save. By the way, has anyone used the notes feature? Like, you can put a note and say, "This is a note." I have not. I've never used the notes. I don't know what you can do with them. Well, I mean, I guess if you want to... Oops, I deleted that layer. I guess if you want to send a Photoshop file to a client, you can open up the notes and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know. I haven't used it before. I see the use for it, but it's like in Word where you track corrections. I don't know. I'm just... Yeah, delete all those suckers. I never use that. But if any of you have, please inform me as to its usefulness, for I am ignorant of it. That's not entirely true. I just have never used them in my career. Normally, if people send corrections, it's a long email with an attachment. I don't like this. I want to change this color. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, those eyes are cute. Let's get more bling in them. Yeah. This other eye on this guy doesn't seem to have anything going on it. Let's see here. Just kind of popping out there. See if we can put a lid around you. It looks like he's closing his eye a little bit. Like, get away from me. It's kind of cute. I think I'll leave it. That's one of those happy accidents I was talking about. For cutie eyebrows, does this guy have hair? I don't know. I don't know. Save. Let me look at my cat. Do you have hair, cat? Guess you have hair. Do monsters need to have eyebrows? That is a question I will save for another day. So it looks like we are getting closer and closer to a final sort of product here. I do want to do one thing just to see how it's going. I'm going to create another, deselect everything, another adjustment layer for the entire thing. I'm going to use curves, see what this gets me. So move this over here. See what's happening now. Ooh, that looks gross. See what other kind of stuff we can do with this guy. No. How about new adjustment layer? Why did that? Levels. I want levels. New adjustment layer levels. Whoa, really dark. Alright, screw that. Okay. Shoot. I have not done anything to this butt area. I think I'm done with him. I think I'm done with this part of him. I think I need to do more stuff down here and over here. Well, let's sketch in some stuff right now just to give myself a roadmap for next time so I don't forget. So I want to put some more details here and maybe more details in here. Boom, 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 boom. And we'll call this layer roadmap. We'll probably delete it next time. And in this background, woo, these, I wasn't paying attention. These shadows are way too black. So let's brighten that up here. Brighten that up a little bit here. Maybe put in some of this brown stuff. Now it just looks like he's pooping light. Alright, this is pretty dark in here too, but alright, next week I want to fix up this guy's butt, or not next week, next time I want to fix up this guy's butt, put some more details into this leg situation here, and definitely work on this background to bring it up to this level here, but we're getting close. We're getting close. We're closing in. So, thank you for tuning in for this episode of Monster Cutie, and I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.